So welcome back to the series trying to turn £1,000 into £10,000. We actually bought this Focus for £1,800 and that left us around £1,200 left to fix it. Now the worst thing happened when we got the Focus home. We realised the engine was gone. It had blown up and it had low compression. So we got invited down to BD Performance, thank God, and we actually put a new engine in the car. Without them, this would have not been possible. I would have crashed out already. So we've got a new engine in the Focus now. It's all up and running, and we actually flashed a stock Mac back onto the car, and we actually put a stock intake back on as well. So with the rebuilt engine from BD, it is good, it is running, it is healthy. So now we need to finish the Focus off, get it for sale, see how much money we've made, and introduce the new thing that's going to replace it. So after the amazing day at BD, we actually got the engine running and we are back at my unit. Now, we've actually got an MOT for the Focus booked in for next Tuesday. It's about a week today, so we've got a week left to fix all the issues on the Focus that would stop us passing an MOT. I don't fully know the extent. When it's been up on the ramp, I've had a quick look at all the bushes and everything like that, and there's no rust underneath the car. The brakes are actually good, and the bushes are all pretty good as well, but I'm going to have a final check over. But there's one thing that's going to stop us from most definitely passing an MOT. Now, we've got a second-hand cat here, and it's from a lovely guy called Craig. He's a fellow YouTuber. Here is a link to his channel. Now, he said he's got a standard cat. It's a little bit rough, a little bit rusty, and a couple of the bolts are snapped. So he's given us this for free. And not only that, he actually drove an hour and a half and met us halfway. What an absolute legend. He also said he's got a spoiler with a spare brake light in, because our brake light has got this stupid wrap over it, and it's not good. And I know for a fact when I take that wrap off, it's going to leave all glue marks on the brake light. So we've got a spare brake light there. He said he didn't want the spoiler. So we need to end up fitting this cat. So to fit this cat, we've got to sort out these horrible bolt holes here. So first of all, we've got to get off the old cat. This is the D cat, and I'm hoping, the good thing is we actually had the bolts off here from when we did the engine swap. We've not had these off, and these look nasty as hell. So I might have to get a blowtorch out on that. Hopefully not. We're going to soak them in WD now, which is never a good idea when you think you need a blowtorch, but still going to send it. Now, this is probably one of the easiest cars to do a decat on, because it's literally right there. A lot of times they're up on the manifold and it's an absolute pain in the ass. I actually thought it was on the manifold. Once it's off, it's pretty much going to be a stock, complete stock car. This is the only mod I can see, so we're doing good. So we're going to crack this lambda sensor off first, and hopefully see how these bolts get on. Now, I know this channel is usually about modifying cars, but in some cases, modifying cars makes them harder to sell. And in this case here, modifying this car is going to make it impossible for us to get an MOT. So we've got a stock map, a stock cat, and hopefully we'll have an MOT. Now, we recently had the manifold side of the cat off when we was doing the engine, so my biggest worry was getting these bolts off. They were a little bit rusty, and I didn't manage to actually get the blowtorch out, but they were tough to get off. But just make sure you tighten them and loosen them and tighten them and loosen them. Just work them out slowly. Now, it's going to be tricky, because obviously that's meant to be a hole like that. And this is, well, they're not holes. There's a snap bolt in here, and there's barely anything over here. But we've got it for free, so we can't complain. So we're going to make it work. So we need to get the grinder out. We need to open up some holes here. It's not too bad, because it's all we need is the nut. It's got studs on the other side. So all we need is the stud to actually go through the hole. We don't need to nut and bolt it. We just need to make a hole so the stud will go through, and then we can tighten it up. This is going to be tricky, because the material is like barely non-existent. So this side might be tricky, but we can make it work. Worst case, what we'll do is we'll just chop this flange off, and then we'll cut this flange off, or find another flange so we've still got the D-cap, and then weld another flange onto this. So we've got a couple options, but let's try and reuse this first. Let's try and get these off and see how we get on with that. So we're going to get our favourite tool, Gordon the grinder, and all we're going to do is just chop a slit through the edge of the flange and through half of the stuck bolt. This will relieve tons of pressure. Now, just to relieve even more pressure off that stuck stud, we're going to cut the excess thread off one side, and we're actually going to cut the head off the bolt off the other side as well. So it's just a little bit of metal stuck in the inside now. Good day, success. Now that was the easy side. As you can see, this side is really not happy. Someone's tried to grind it off and then just grinded it in the total wrong place. So we're going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side as well. Cut through the middle and cut the excess off both sides, and hopefully we can pop it out. Hey! I am the grinding master. That sounds a bit wrong. Now this car has been sat around for a very long time and there's a big rust build up on the edge of the flanges now. So all I'm doing is getting a flapping disc and just cutting the rust off. This isn't going to make a smooth surface by no means, but it's going to make it a lot smoother than what it was with all those rust bumps all over. And now we can actually install the standard cap back on the car as well, which means we won't get any engine lights and we'll actually pass a legit MOT as well. And yes, I am just using instant gasket for the exhaust gaskets because I don't have any exhaust gaskets. And we want this past an MOT ASAP. Okay, and the cat is now on. Now, if a few people in there was like, oh my god, that's bodgy, you should have used exhaust gaskets, I'm here to show you, like a lot of other YouTubers won't, the real world of fixing cars. If you think that's wrong, where do you think I learn these techniques from? Do you think I just make them up? Don't believe everything you see on the internet, guys. This is how the real world works. So before we let that gasket go off, it doesn't really matter because it's just exhaust. It's not water or anything, so it doesn't really need to dry. But we'll let it dry for a little bit just so it hardens up a little bit. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually need to make sure all the lights are working because obviously if you need MOT, you need lights. So we're going to go around the whole car and just see what bulbs are out. I know the indicator on the front left is definitely out, but let's see all of them. And I've just seen them stupid fog light things. If you have them on your car, remove them. They are absolutely disgusting and you usually find it's the focuses that have all these stupid spirally LEDs. Please take it off, guys, we don't like it. So we're going to rip them off first and foremost. Now I've had a lot of cars and therefore been in a lot of different car groups, and these cars do get a lot of bad stick for people putting silly things on like the flashing LEDs. I'm not telling you what to put on your car, but these are actually cool cars and I feel like the community has been ruined a little bit by silly little mods like that. So in my opinion, take off the stupid flashing LEDs, people. The biggest things that transforms a car is the headlights. When they look like this, it makes the whole car look cheap, shit and nasty. Now, I initially thought this was glue, first of all, but I've just wiped it with some petrol, and it's instantly, like, cleared up really good. So I think it's just a bit of the coating in the plastic. So we're going to get the DA out, and we're going to DA this with some polish, maybe a little bit of compound, and they should come up a lot better. Remember, the whole thing to this series is we don't need to make things perfect, we just need to make things better for free, if not cheaper. Buying this DA was probably one of the best purchases I've ever done, to be fair. It was about 30 quid on Amazon, and for a little time you can add so much value to a car by polishing up the car and the paint and polishing up the headlights like this as well. So you can see the headlight is much shinier where it's took that layer, especially up here, it's took all that cloudiness away, but there's still a ton of damage. I don't know if it's glue or that's where it's peeled off the original lacquer on the headlight. So we're going to try one more thing. We're going to try and wet sand it. Just some wet sand, 2000 grit, and then we can polish it up and see if it comes up any better. But I actually think that's where it's peeled away the lacquer. Someone's clearly had that fly trap mesh stupid thing. Why you would put that on a headlight, I have no idea. Probably the same reason they've got these flashing stupid fucking lights. But they've ruined the headlight by putting that stupid mesh thing on it. So cheers, mate, whoever did that. Now, if it is glue, this wet sand should lift off all the glue, but you can actually see it there. I think that's where the fly trap crappy mesh thing has been peeled off, and it's actually peeled off the top layer of plastic on the headlight. So I'm not sure this wet sand's going to actually fix it, but it will make it a little bit better. So after you wet sand anything, you're going to have to polish it up after. So we're just finishing off here with a little bit. I almost just dropped a cup of water all down the engine. That would have been funny. So we're just polishing off the sanding marks, and we'll see how it comes up. So the driver's side headlight was actually in really good condition, and look how good that has come up with a polish. We didn't wet sand that one, so we didn't need to. That was just with a polish and a DA. There's the passenger one, which had the damage, but it's come up a lot better. But the driver's one's sweet. Let it warm up. I can't hear any blows, but I'm going to get it up in the air and just make sure there aren't any blows coming from the cat. Again, can't hear any, but it's good to double check. So again, absolutely zero blows whatsoever, which is great. Awesome. Actually, I've come to get it off, and it's actually coming off quite nice, which is good because I couldn't they've hid the bolt so far underneath, I can't even see what bolt it is to actually take the damn thing off. So luckily this is coming off, because it's taking me long just to try to get the bolts off, which are right there, but they've put them in such a stupid position you can't even see what it is. And that is the final thing to do on the Focus. It is ready to go for its MOT. So we're just going to do a final check over of the whole car to make sure I've not missed anything. This includes checking all the bushes, all the ball joints, all the arms, just anything really. Fuel lines, brake lines, just make sure there's no rust or anything and everything's in good working order, which luckily it was. So after a few days, we took the Focus to get an MOT and it actually passed. So now it's ready to go up for sale. So let's bring up the spreadsheet and let's talk some numbers. So we went into this Focus with a total of £3,038.50. We actually bought the Focus for 1,800 quid and that left us just over £1,200 to fix it. In total, we spent £1,196 fixing the Focus, and there's actually an interior detail on there at the minute, and we're just waiting for Scott to come and do that. So the car actually hasn't sold yet, but you'll see why I'm doing this video, because, well, we bought something and I didn't want to miss out on it. So the interior detail was quite important because the seats are absolutely minging, and yeah, it's definitely not going to add value to the car, so we need to pay for that. So I've done a value here of $4,250. Personally, I think I'll probably get a little bit more than that, well, unless it's one of you guys buying it. Now I've got to sell it for $4,250. But I'm going to work out $4,250. I personally think I'll get $4,500, but just to be safe, we're going to do $4,250. So based on the Focus selling for that, we're going to make a profit of £1,254. And that leaves us with a total pool of £4,292.50 to buy the next car. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let me show you what has replaced the Focus ST. Not one, but two Subarus. I'm actually not joking, two Subarus have replaced the Focus ST. I'm not actually lying. Night at the same old spot, spending every dollar I got. 2-3 shots won't leave one dry, and a jukebox on lock. She just wanna party all night. We be two-stepping in the back of the dive. I've been down and Jack all night, tending to my keys cause they know I can't drive. Going up north with a rose wine, stars ain't hard to find. Bottle of the best and you by my side, that's my peace of mind. So yes, I have cheated a little bit because I did not want to miss out on this. The Focus hasn't sold as I'm recording this video. Focus is going to be going in for sale in the next couple of days, and I know what I'm going to get for it. I'm going to get around $4,500. Now these popped up last night or a couple of days ago on Facebook, and they were both going for £4,000. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen them because if I put a story up on my Instagram teasing that I got two, and a lot of people did actually guess that it was the Subaru. So yes, I bought these two Impreza turbos for £4,000. Now, I know it sounds like an absolute bargain, but it's not that much of a bargain. I promise you, it's not that much of a bargain. But it's a good storyline, and I think it'd be great for content. So, let me go over why these two are for sale, what's wrong with them, what's good about them, and why they were £4,000. So these are two Impreza Turbo Classics. Now, they are basically a WRX, but they only started branding them a WRX when the Bug-Eye come out. So this is a Subaru Impreza Classic, and these called these the 2000 turbos, a 2-litre turbo. So it is basically a WRX. It's the same engine as the WRXs that you see in the later versions, but these are classics. Now, at one point, these were the cheapest Subarus. The Classics were the cheapest ones. The Bugs and the Blobs went for the most money. Now it's kind of taken a little bit of a turn where the Classics are actually getting most amount of money, and that's because they're getting rare. Now, this one is a UK spec 2-litre turbo. This one is a Japanese import 2-litre turbo. This is the spicy one of the two. This is the good one. But the bad thing about this one is it's got a blown engine. It has got a bottom end knock. I'll start it up in a minute. They both run, they both drive, but this one's got a bottom end knock and it sounds horrendous. Right, I'm not going to run this one for long because it sounds like a bag of shit. Are you ready? There we go, that's enough. So this is the blue Subaru. It's actually really nice in here. It's very standard, no boost gauges. And you can see, It runs, but it just feels horrible. The clutch is like, doesn't do anything. So the clutch is absolutely knackered, but she runs. And it sounds like it runs quite well as well, which is good news. Sounds great under here. Sounds really nice. It sounds like a stock, well, healthy Subaru, which is good. And that's going to need a new engine. And you can probably see where this one comes into it. This is a 2-litre Impreza, and this is running. The engine is good. It sounds good. It feels good. I've drove it around, but the clutch is gone. But this one is a little bit rotten. Now, both rear arches are gone on each side, but I don't think this is enough to write this car off. I've looked at the MOT history on both of these Imprezas. Now, you can't really go off an MOT history perfectly, because a lot of people just put them through when they shouldn't really. But this one does seem to have quite a legit MOT on it, and there's absolutely zero advisories for rust ever. I've had a quick look underneath. All the rear chassis legs seem good. Even the front radiator support is in good condition, which is really crazy. So I actually think this one is quite a good shell. And I've actually looked under the engine bay, and it's got like new fuel filters and stuff. So someone at one point has actually looked after this car, I think, to an extent. But it's just bad. Like the paint's bad, the rust is bad, it's lack appealing, and it's got these stupid stickers over it. Now, sounds easy, take the stickers off. When I take those stickers off that car, that's going to peel the lacquer off everywhere, and it's going to be a full respray. So we're going to have to think about what to do with that. Now, the Impreza Turbo, this has actually still got an MOT. The Jap import has actually still got an MOT. It's had a couple of advisories in the past for some rust, but nothing bad. It's like radiator supports and things like that. And the fact that they've actually got advisories on an MOT says to me it's actually quite legit. And the advisories aren't that bad. Now, I might just be lying here. We're going to get both of them up on the ramp and see how bad they are. But from first inspection, they're not actually that bad. So, what we're going to do with these two cars. So we're going to cut to Future Lee, and he's going to explain the two options that we can do with these two Imprezas. One of them is going to be easier, but the other option is going to make us more money. So option one is the easiest option, and that's to take the engine out of the blue one and put it into the red one. And we would probably make around 6 grand on this Impreza Import Turbo, making us a profit of about 2 grand. Now, this is probably the easiest option because the engine is there and all the parts are there, ready to go into the red one, and we can have it done quite quickly. But the cons are, I don't think will make us much money. Now, option 2 would be to fix up both cars and sell 2 running Subarus. Now, I am leaning towards this as the blue one's probably worth 3 to 4 grand done up, and it won't cost us that much money to fix it up. It needs a clutch and some rear arches, but it all depends what this Subaru is like underneath. So the plan would be to fix the blue one, sell it, and then use the money we've got from that to fix up the red one to sell that one. I am a little bit clued up with Subarus. As you know, I've had a couple of them, but I'm not massively clued up with the Japanese imports versus the UK ones. I need to do a little bit of research to see if this engine fits straight in to the Impreza Turbo import, and if it doesn't, then I need to find out how much it's going to be to find an Impreza import engine. Now, the engines do look pretty much identical. It's just the intercooler is a little bit different on this one, but I don't think that'll be a big of an issue because if you actually look, this hood isn't actually meant for that intercooler. It's not fitting right. This hood is actually meant for that intercooler, so it actually might be okay. Now, this one does look like the rougher car, which is annoying because this is the expensive one. Someone has messed about with this. You've got amp wiring, stupid fucking oil filler caps, painted this, painted that, stupid shit, where this one looks like a clean car. This actually looks like the cleaner engine. So it would be a good idea putting this one in that one. Now, one thing I have noticed is little things like the battery tray starting to go on this one, where the battery tray is actually really good condition on this one. The radiator support at the bottom is really good on this one, and the radiator support at the bottom on that one, we'll show you in the next videos, is not good on this one. So it's really annoying that the arches are good on this. So between them, there'll be a really good car that can be made. But we just need to figure out what is the best financial option to do. Right now, I want to fix this one up and then fix that one up. That's what I want to do, but I need to see if that is going to be feasible and how much these go for. Realistically, this owes me 2 grand and that owes me 2 grand. Let's figure it like that. But realistically, this is worth 6 top end and this is worth 4 top end. But we can actually learn some fun things. You can actually buy the rear quarter panels and we can do that, and we can weld in the new rear quarter. This is very common on the Subaru, so we'll cut this out and weld another piece in and you get them for like 60 quid. So that's what I want to do. I want to spend the very little budget that we've got left to put a clutch in this, fix the rear arches, clean it up, sell that, and then use a profit from that to buy another engine for that one. That's what I want to do, but I need to go away and do some research. And this all depends how rotten this blue one is underneath. That's what this all comes down to. If we put that up on the ramp and it's rotten, we're going to be using the parts off this. If we put it up on the ramp and it's good, we're going to fix this and sell it on. Now, the first signs are telling me that the rust is worse on this import than this one, which is kind of good news, kind of bad news. It's kind of saying that that's going to be easily repairable, but it's kind of potentially saying that the one that we've got our money in might need a lot of welding work. But we've got a welder, we're not that bad at welding, and it's going to be fun. So I'm intrigued to get started on this. We are going to be addressing the blue one first and foremost, because that is the main decider of how we proceed. So in the next video, we're going to be putting the blue Subaru up on the ramp, and we're going to be looking over everything and see if it's worth saving or if it's worth just taking the engine out of and then scrapping the rest of the shell. So we'll see you in the next video. Let's see how the two Scoobies are underneath.